como vão vocês? É o unicórnio. Yep. Hoje eu vou ler Malcolm X Talks to Young People. A leitura será 100% em inglês. Pegue um lugar, pegue uma cadeira. Fique à vontade, você que está no Void. E vamos nessa. Deixo meu jazzinho no fundo para uma boa leitura. Na Biblioteca Pública de Boston, Malcolm X Talks to Young People. Digitalizado pela Internet Archive em 2014, sempre bom efetivar isso. Já começa, gente, aguenta um pouco, tá? Digitalizado pelo Internet Archive em 2014. Oi, Godzilla, bem-vindo. Hoje a leitura vai ser em inglês, tá? Qualquer dúvida do livro é só perguntar. Se o seu inglês estiver bom e estiver me acompanhando, está ótimo também. Eu vou ler o que eu consegui durante 1h30, tá? Malcolm X to young people speaking in US, Britain, and Africa. Written by Stephen Clark. É o prefácio. Vamos ver quais são os tópicos. I am not American, a victim of Americanism. Any means necessary to bring about freedom. The Christmas, a word cry out the fitness against the oppressor. Is see yourself, listen yourself, and think for yourself. Perfeito! Certamente então, Godzilla, aproveite o show, tá bom? Só mostrando, se você quiser virar sub aqui no canal, aí você ganha o unicórnio taradinho, o unicórnio da lambidinha. Na ordem, os ícones de bit são esses. É o Lindeza, o Selinho e o Med, que é o unicórnio dos bravos. Se quiser usar algum comando de perguntas, eu tenho tudo aqui embaixo, ou mesa de tablado, como você está vendo o stream antes conversando com você, ou aqui, tá bom? Você escolhe o melhor lugar. Se quiser tirar alguma curiosidade, conhecer um pouco mais sobre como o meu canal funciona, o que tem de bom, fica à vontade, God. Você é super bem-vindo aqui, viu? Meu coraçãozinho é aberto para todo mundo. When you get in conversation on racism, discrimination and segregation, Malcolm X observed in January 1965, will find young people and seated over and fell, was filled by earth and eliminated. With in mind, Malcolm X ever conclusion talks to young people and those teenagers around and all over the world who actually involving themselves in the struggle and eliminate oppression and explosion, he said. Five such discussions during the last years of Malcolm X's life has presented in this book. There are talks following Malcolm X March in 1964 with the nation's Island. Malcolm X had very long a revolutionary decade in the black rights and integrate open national government and imperialist politics. Around the final months of 1995 and early 1997, he expressed incredibly anti-capitalism and then precisely the point of the view on the well. The speech of the interview on the collection reflects the politician outlook involving the process. He was under as assassinated in February 1965. The novel reflects in the audience that Malcolm X have won on the mountain young people on several continents during the year of his death. His expensive trips to Africa and Middle East and several trips to Europe, short trips to Europe. 2005 in the collections that took Africa and Britain. During the influence Michael X ideas. Ideas. Okay. Idea. 3 of the 5 discussions. Remember the influence of Michael X ideas and has a sprouted young fighters against segregation in the United States, said the High College of Students of Macomb, Massachusetts, when he met at the beginning of 1965, 1965, was the material of the books is printed here the first time. In the case, the speech of Oxford University and London School of Economics, and other paragraphs which conspiracy and printed enters the talks of students from Macomb appears in Pathfinder public the previous published and the title Michael X talks to young people in the speech in Oxford and London in Macomb. The student described the Pathfinder for now lake. The speech in the University of Wanda and Ganda has transfigured on all the books of Ned Smith. And the first, here's Smith, Where's the Black Man? An American Negro African Diary. Chicago Squarely. Quendley. 1967. And as long as out print. Tá, esse aqui é só o prefácio mesmo que tá falando, certo? Bem-vindos, bem-vindas, bem-vindes. O tema hoje é um dos meus escritores favoritos, um dos meus ativistas dos direitos humanos favoritos. Se você não pode lutar por um, lute por todos. Tá falando da capa. Arte. É uma pintura. Não tinha reparado não, deixa eu ver. É uma pintura. Pensei que era uma foto. Now other artists, Helen Brown teaches in the Preston School on Design in New York City. Her influence travels to Africa in 1972 and 1977. She has exhibited several anti-project shows, and it shows the back history and the culture winning numerous awards of painting, sculpture, and illustration. The illustrator of the Down its books. His works presents in Brazil. Innovation, the series board active, and the cost to cost, and National Woman as the color. Que bonito! Épico. Espero que esse pessoal que eu vou ler aqui, gente, que ajudaram o Malcolm X, estejam vivos ainda. Eu ainda quero conhecer esse pessoal. Part 1, in Africa. In North America, a bit of an Americanism. University of Uganda, May 30, 1964. The author follows. E bom para uma boa leitura, uma boa letra maior. Martha Fowler has made the University of Uganda and Lego meeting sponsored by Max's Forum. Regional talks and talks in the President and 21 in Afro-Americans in the United States. His audiences fill in Nurse's Great Hall as great as Malcolm X address in Africa. The talks. The talk is about the week-long tour in Uganda and organized by Malcolm X committee made in the African Americans living in the country. When they visit, Malcolm X meets on the president Canal Amini Calabo. Eu não sei dizer esse nome. Spoken addresses in 50 countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. He's also addressed members in parliament. Eu não vou dizer assim, eu não conheço esse nome pra falar, gente, desculpa. The Logical Institute gave the press and conference and honors and dinners given by Cohen and T and his investors. The result, Michael X and Uganda chapter of the organization are from a night observed by US like living there. Indeed, for my talk, the very informal, because your position in America, informal position. I found it's a very difficult to use formal terms to describe the very informal position. No conditions of any people on earth more durable than conditions of Italy and of 22 million black people in America, and your condition is deplorable because we are in the country and confess democracy and profess to the strives and gives and justice and freedom and equality to everyone who is born under his constitution. If there is a South African or Angola as a part of this earth, they don't profess for this freedom, who's gathered that would another thing, but has born in the country has stand up and represents itself as a leader of the free world, and still have to be beg and crawl to chance to drink a cup of coffee, then in the conditions without Doppler in the year. So, tonight, that you will understand me, and why I speak as I do, I should probably be pointed at and all set. I'm not a politician. I don't know anything about politics. I'm from America, and I'm not American. I didn't go there in my own choice, on my own free choice. I wear America there, no problem. There's no needed legislation and civil rights or anything else. So I just try to face the fact that actually this meeting is the victims of America. One of the victims of Americanism is the victims of democracy, and one of the victims of the very that political system doesn't go over the earth today. The earth today, this earth today, representing itself, being qualified to other people, hold around the country when it's got dirty things and it's going on this own country straight out. So, someone else from America comes to you speak, they're probably speaking as Americans, and then speak as a people who's America true and American. And useful and the types of persons referring America, or it is, or what is exists in America is American dream. But for 20 millions of US, America, who is of African descent, is not American dream. It's American nightmare. I'm not feeling I'm visiting or any part of Africa. I feel I'm at home. I had away for 400 years. But of my own volition, not on my will, or people. We don't go to America on Queen Mary. We didn't go to Pan America. We didn't go to America on Mayflower. We went in slave ships. wait in chains. We are immigrants to America. We aren't immigrants to America. We're cargo for bubbles. And season have opened and making profits. And this is category is level which I speak. I not speak in the language many use, but I think you understand me on my terms. Eu gosto do Malcolm X por causa disso. Tem alguns escritores brasileiros antigos que trouxeram isso em tona também. Falar, incentivar, falaram sobre essas coisas que aconteciam. E não tenho nem vergonha de falar que vocês estão no lurk aí, tá, gente? É só pra contabilizar, falar alguma coisinha, tá? Foi assim. Gente, é tenso. Não é umas coisas assim suaves, vamos dizer assim. A gente também teve. Só que eu conheço muita gente que diz: ah, mas isso é irrelevante pra história. Irrelevante onde? Obrigado, Luzia. Fica à vontade. When I was Iberian in the University of Iran, and the last Friday, the students there gave me a new name, which I go mean is like Omowele, which is me in Yobara. I am pronouncing that correctly. If I not pronounce it correctly, because I haven't had a chance to pronounce for 100 years, which means that the athletics, the children has returned his honor and to refer me as a child who had sense enough to return the land of the forefathers and the fatherland and his fatherland and his motherland. Not send us back as a State Department, but back here their own free will. I am happy, and I imagine it since the policy and whatever the black man lives in America, travel any part in Africa or Asian or Latin America, say the things not really and then what's America propaganda machine turn out. Easily his find his return home and his passport feeling well and not wanted to say the things and I say they should never giving us passport in the first place. The policy eventually actually was the lifting of their passport, and now I am not here to condemn America. I'm not here to make America looks bad, but I'm here to tell you the truth about the situation of the black people in America. Find yourself confronted with the truth, commends America, and stands continent. This is the most beautiful continent that I ever seen. It's the richest continent I ever seen. Has a strain in it. I find white Americans, whereas hiding their face and your African brothers having been loving all the time. The facts is the sun whites and all who is in America split your faces with the same whites and who American club as brutally. The same whites who's America six their dogs on was just because we want to free human beings. And the same whites who turned the whites who's of your women and babies because we want integrating and are over in America smiling their faces try integrate with you. I had write a letter back home yesterday and tell some friends that is the American there was once the integration and then should come to Africa because more people over here white Americans what looks like their integration and there's an entire American country. But that is they want integrate with heavily and they know who's here then take nature and even natural resources with expensive help in the uncontainers Earth today. Well, as I'm going from London to Accra Sunday, as I was riding on an airplane with a white man representing some of these interesting, interesting in Africa, and he admit at least has impression of the people, your people, Africa. I don't know the measure. I often worship Helpman the terms of gold and silver, not the terms of natural resources and earth and the land of America and another imperialist or 20 scholars. 20th century could continue on Africa's measures on the terms of gold and silver. Okay. Ready? Oh no, it's not Africa's servers. There never was an opportunity to really measure the values of the health on soil and will continue to think they need Western powers instead of thinking that is what Western powers who need the people in the continent knows as Africa. The thing is, I hope I don't mess up anybody politics or anything. Anybody plots or plans or schedules. But I think that's why I'm well proved on the background. Canada is one of the most processed nations on the African continent. Probably because it's the most processed leaders and most processed presidents. The president of this nation has done something that no America, no white American, what see it's done well. As saying, well America. Because the Americans over there are white Americans. President Nkrumah, eu ainda tenho que decorar esses nomes, gente. Essas pronúncias aqui pra mim são novas. He's doing something that government of America don't look like it's done at that. He is not restoring the African image. He's making Africa proud of an African image. E essa é uma frase forte. And however, the African becomes the proud of African image. And this positive image is projected the road. And then, the black man in America, who's up now, had nothing but negative image of Africa. Automatically, the image of black man in America as an African and his African brothers changed from negative to positive. And this image of the black man in America as himself changed from negative to positive. Isso é uma coisa interessante se analisar. And American racist knows that rural America in America, rural African in America, and African America, and American in America, all has a long negative image. Region of Africa, and also they know the day and the image Africa has changed from negative to positive. Automatically, the attitude of 22 million Africans in America will change from negative to positive. One of the most important efforts to change the imagery of African has made right here in Uganda, and the new Uganda personality who speaks right out of any group of Africans anywhere in this planet. Because you see, nothing in him reflects this kind of feeling of inferiority or anything of the sort. And as long as you have a president who teach you that you can do anything that anybody else under the sun can do, I got, you got a good man. Só rapidinho, gente, eu vou no banheiro e já continuo. Muito bem. Well, no one want that. We who live in America have learned the measures black man has an object using the measure him to attitude of the America toward him. Well, we find American black man whose always receive the praise of the Americas and becomes the suspicion to him. And when we find a black man who receives honors, when we find a black man who receives honors and all kind of plays and beautiful phrases and the words from America, we immediately begin to suspect this person. But because it having been your experience, America's don't praise any black man who really work in benefits of the black because then realize when you begin to work in earnest to do things are good for the people on the African continent, all the goods, all the good you for people on the African continent has got against someone else because someone else up now benefits from labor and the health of the people of this continent. So, your hardest you may measuring some various leaders to find what America thinks about them. And then leaders over there receiving the praise of pats on the backs for the Americas, you can flush the toilet and let them go right to the drum. The person here is disliked. Don't think it's just the American press. It's the government in America when fine, considering, afford the press, and always speak the bad way on American leader. Usually that's press, actually reflecting government opinion, but America has a very strong government. If it, this is an own governmental position, we cause negative reaction, and people who want to continue to exploit it as well, protect the free press and at the same time take the free press and the real African leader and stand out on in the sideline and says it's not the government policy. But everything that's happening in America is a government policy. Not the president of this country disliked the president of Algeria, Bala. It's disliked because he's a revolutionary. He's a freedom. He's for freedom for everybody. Nasser disliked because he is from freedom of disliked because of freedom of everybody. Over then referred the detectors and so on as a mass of people behind him and then the detector. As soon as having a night, the people in their country, their detector, and there is no division, fighting and stabbing, squabbling going on. The leader of that country is a detector, and if he is an African, but as long as in America, he's just American president, whole support of the people. I'm coming to America in a minute, but I want to comment. I comment on your relations. I have noticed since being here, I hear that there's a conflict among some of your brothers and sisters here. Concerning whatever is just that divided for environment to play permitted roles guiding from the education. The curriculum is what it's not. It's not of the people, country, and in very universities there are people that there's universities, and yes, any time of you people have been colonized and longs as people have been colonized, and you tell them they can vote, they will expand Knight's argument and never get anywhere. Everything needs. Oh, peraí. Não, é esse aqui não. Everything needs to control it into colonial mentally and be completely destroyed, and when the mentally has been destroyed at last at the point, and then what is voting is given a chance of trouble and vote on that, but they have a trouble in America and other areas, and communists has thinted in their own way they practice and apple by a democracy practice and through a device and context. So my own honest, humble opinion is anything you want to come out under colonial mentally, let the government set up the educational system, educate you in the direction and the way they want and the way they want you going, and then after the understanding the level where it should be around arguing philosophy, see, or something of the sort. There is probably no more eligible leader on the African continent than the present Nucoroa. Eu não sei ainda falar isso não, gente. Eu tenho que aprender o vocabulário de lá pra manjar ainda. Because he lives in America, and he knows what is looking there. He could not live in the land alone he did, but him and be desolated or confused or be diseases. Anything you think that's America, the land of the free, comes to the take off on the national and take off your national dress and mistake it for American hero, and you will find it is not the land of the free. Os Estados Unidos tem até hoje essa crítica, pessoal, para quem perguntar. Os Estados Unidos é criticado até hoje se realmente é a terra da liberdade. Tem muitas coisas que ainda ficam se questionando. Até hoje. Principalmente nos anos recentes até. Eu estava conversando sobre isso. America is not a colony power. It's just a colonial power in 1964 as France, Britain, Portugal, and others European countries, where in 1864, he's a 20th century colonial power. She's modern colonial power, and she's colonized 22 million African Americans, while there are only 11 million Africans colonized in certain Africa, 5 million in Angola, and that's 22 million Africans colonized in America right now, May 3, 1964. Malcolm X é uma leitura bem legal. Os discursos deles até hoje são discursos que eu fico arrepiado quando eu escuto. Eu já li vários livros, eu já li a biografia dele. Não é a primeira pessoa dos Estados Unidos negra que, quando se rebelou contra o governo, foi assassinada. Eu ainda vou ter uma camiseta do Malcolm X. Eu já tenho do Martin Luther King, que também foi assassinado. What is the second class citizenship if nothing 20th century colonists? They don't want you know slavery still exists. So haters call it slavery and then call it second class supremacy. Sim, teve muito isso nos Estados Unidos. Aquele filme, Princesa e o Sapo, mostra um pouco disso, gente. A escravidão dos Estados Unidos acabou, mas eles começaram a não dar nenhuma oportunidade aos negros nos Estados Unidos. Só torcendo um pouquinho o pescoço, esquecendo um pouco, e já vou continuar. Either you citizen, or you not citizen at all. If you are a citizen, you are free. If you are not a citizen, you are a slave. And American government is afraid to admit that never gave the freedom to the black man in America and won't admit the black man in America is not free. Is not a citizen and doesn't may have these rights. She's skillful camouflage under a pair terms of second-class citizenship. It's colonists, neocolonists, imperialists. Até aqui, tá entendendo, meu gato? Godzilla? Se você tiver ainda aí, não sei, tem que ver a lista de convidados aqui. One of your brothers just landed today from New York, and he's told me when he's left in New York, the police is walking in a Harlem 6 abreast. Why? Because because the Harlem about exploding, you know. Meanwhile, Harlem's the most famous city on the earth. There are no city in an African country that has many Africans. It's Harlem. In Harlem, they call it a little Africa. When you can run, how can you through Harlem in Ibadan? Eu não sei a pronúncia dessa cidade dos Estados Unidos. Preciso ver depois. Everyone has the looking just like you, and today the police are out in the force. They're at the clubs, and then they don't have police dogs in Harlem, cause this kind of people who's live in Harlem don't love police dogs and come to Harlem. That's the point. They don't allow police dogs to come to Harlem. They are troubling existence and little gangs who's being going around killing people, killing white people. Well, not to protect abroad, then white gang. No, it's not one white gang. is anti-oppression, yeah. Is anti-frustration, yeah. And they don't know what else do. They don't have weight in the government to solve their problems. They haven't waiting for president. They haven't waiting for president to solve their problems. They haven't waiting the Senate and the Congress of the Supreme Court to solve their problems. They're waiting, having been waiting, having leaders that solve their problems. And they hear a lot of clear words. So they become frustrated and don't know what to do. So the only thing they don't know is the same thing the Americans did when not frustrated with the British in 1776. Liberty or death. This is what the Americans did. They didn't turn around or check the another cheek, the Britain. No, they had the old man named Patrick Henry to say liberty or death. I never heard from him. I never heard that happening him as a debates of violence. He says is the he's the one that found their fathers because they had to say liberty or death. Só um pouquinho aí, deixa eu ver aqui. Estados Unidos falou antes da gente essa fala, gente. Independência. Liberdade ou morte, a gente falou independência. É tempo, é independência ou morte. É bom anotar essas coisas, gente. And there's a growing amount of black Americans today who are able to see what they have freedom, don't have freedom. And they're reaching the point now they're ready to tell the man matters what odds against them. No matter what counts, but this is liberty of death, and this is the land of the free. Then give us some freedom, if the land of justice, then give justice, and if the land of equality gave us some equality. This is what we grow. We're interpreting on the Black American and the African American, which is 22 million. Malcolm X até hoje eu acho muito da hora. Oi, Lu? Malcolm X trouxe muitas coisas que nunca foram exploradas antes. Vamos dizer assim. Já existia gente junto com ele. Tem, na verdade, uma lista grande dos Panteras Negras. Quem foram os Panteras Negras. E eu tenho admiração até o final dessas lutas. Porque isso aqui é um livro antigo e até hoje é fantástico a leitura dele. Hoje eu tô lendo um livro que é um livro das últimas falas do Malcolm X, que ele falou para jovens de universidades do continente africano, da Inglaterra e dos Estados Unidos. I justified in the talking like this. Let me see. I was in Cleveland, Ohio, just 2 months ago, when the white Blair man is killed by a bulldozer, and he's in Cleveland and he's there. Now I know white man and the car and the outfit and the costume and whatever you want to call of the priest. If they run over him with a bulldozer, what they do to a black man? They run over someone who looks like who demonstrated freedom. What does the black man? If these run, they run of someone who looks like demonstrating for freedom. What chance of the black man have? This is in Mississippi. This is Cleveland, of the North. And is this type of experience the black man in America has faced with every day. Segunda parte, Reino Unido. Any means necessary to bring freedom. The oppressed mass of the world cries out direction against the common oppressor. Oxford University, December 3, 1964. Tá, ele tá falando só do que foi falado. Eu não vou ler isso aqui que é só historinha. Vamos lá. You make my point. That's alone as a white man is doing alright. Ele falou todas essas falas antes dele chegar nos Estados Unidos, passar depois foi assassinado em fevereiro. Eu tava falando mais cedo, assim. Nos Estados Unidos, por muito tempo, muitas pessoas que estavam lutando pelos direitos humanos, igual Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, a lista segue, bastante gente até, foram assassinados, foram brutalmente assassinados. Então, eu digo que os Estados Unidos ele conseguiu trazer, hoje. Ainda tem problemas? Tem. Mas as pessoas já sabem que as falas das pessoas do passado podem ser usadas até hoje. No Brasil a gente também teve escritores, poetas que se libertavam. É uma coisa fácil? Nem um pouco. Mas eles já demonstravam que a gente podia lutar. Nos Estados Unidos, a gente teve forças. Tivemos ótimas pessoas que lutaram pelos ativistas dos direitos humanos de todos os tipos aqui no Brasil, igual os Estados Unidos teve. E esse é o melhor. Quanto mais pessoas a gente tiver lutando, melhor. You make my point. As long as a white man don't do it, and it's alright. So, a black man is supposed to have no feelings. So, when black men strike back, he's a extremist. He's supposed to sit and passively have no feelings. Be non-violent and love his enemy. No matter what kind of attack, be it verbal or otherwise. He's supposed to take it, but if he stand up and any kind of tries to defend himself, then he's a extremist. Essa é uma fala muito forte dele. Eu conheço muita gente que usa, fala bem dessa forma. O negro tem que ficar quieto, ele não pode revidar. Porque se ele revidar, vão achar que ele é extremista. Aí que o negócio pega. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King são pessoas que eu acho muito fascinantes. O meu ídolo favorito é a Frida Kahlo. É da América, a gente chama de ídolos americanos. Gosto muito do trabalho de muita gente. Hoje em dia, em desenhos animados, tem aparecido muita diversidade de todos os tipos. Isso tem deixado eu muito feliz. E volta. No. I think that speaker has received something exactly what he's asked for. He asks for. My reason to believe it an extremist integrity, declaring Extremist is the defense of the liberty. Extremist is the question of justice. Cause I firmly believe in my heart that in the day the black man takes an incomplete step in be releasing his just his rights and own freedom being jeopardized and means necessary his freedom or put and how the justice I don't think he's a bigger so temos muitos ativistas muito bons até hoje, Lu. Eu conheço muita gente que é. Conheço iniciativas muito boas. Minha própria empresa, a Viajante dos Sonhos, é uma iniciativa de liberdade. A gente é uma iniciativa de ativismo. Ou seja, eu faço jogos para todos. Um amigo meu faz arte de grafite sobre críticas sociais. Eu gosto do que criando. Como diz mesmo essa é a frase do meu amigo grafiteiro. No passado, eles nos inspiraram para o nosso presente. Que nós vamos inspirar o futuro. I live in America, where there are 22 million black X against the probably 160 million whites. And one of those reasons that's why no way afflicting or hesitate to whatever it is to see black people to do something protect themselves instead. And I also believe that they do many whites will more respect for them and they're more whites than their sides and on their sides a little whiskey wash love than enemy abroad than having be using it now. And if I'm wrong, then are radicalists. As I said early in my conclusion, I'm Muslim and I believe in the religion of Islam. I believe in Allah because I'm Muhammad. I believe in Muhammad. And I believe in all of the prophets. And I believe the fasts and prayer and charity. And it's what incumbent of Islam, following the order of Islam. Sim, quem perguntar, Malcolm X era muçulmano. Muita gente achava Martin Luther King era católico. Mas eles mesmo diziam, não importa a sua religião, você está lutando pelos direitos de todo mundo. It's not for one, it's for all. É por isso que eu gosto dessas coisas. In April, I was fortunate to make Hajj in Mecca and head back again in September to try to carry on my religion's functions and requirements. But at the same time, as I believe that in religion, I have the point and also American neighbor, I live in a society where also system has based on castration of black men. And this politician system's based on the castration of black men was a common based upon the castration of the black man. The site within the 1964 is more simply accepted. These were methods to make the rest of the world things as clean as house at the same time. And that the same things happened in the 90s, 1964, happened in 1954, 54, 1922, and in 1984. Then it had come up and it's called the Civil Rights Bill, in 1984, supposed to solve the problem after the bill signed the civil rights works had murdered and cold blood. And FBI had, eu não lembro agora se é Jeffrey ou Jimmy, não. However, Medicine knows who did it. They knows ever since that happened, then done something about it. Civil rights bill down the drain. No matter how many bills pass, like people in the country where I'm from still lives and not worth 2 cents. And the government show is in Abilene and Idlis and whatever necessary to protect people and protect where people, Black America is concerning. Eu digo que ler as falas do Malcolm X é terapêutico pra mim. Porque é assim que a minha alma fica mais aliviada de saber que não importa a era. Heróis sempre estarão conosco. So, in my contention is whatever the people, the conclusion of the government, which is supported, proves themselves, lives the proves, and able to have their own color scheme. We are not human beings unless we yourselves band together and whenever is necessary to see your lives and your property and is protected. And is doubt any person where will refuse to do something where he is the same position. Or I should say he will be the same condition. O nome verdadeiro do Malcolm X eu não vou lembrar, gente, mas é longo. É um nome que eu não sei falar por completo. Just one step further to see I justified his stand. And I say he's speaking like man as America, which it is racist society. Well, how I hear and talk about the democracy, it is a racist. South Africa has a racist as in Portugal and racist another racist society on the earth. All the difference between South Africa breeds ration and practice separation. The American preaches integration and practice segregation. And this is their own different. They don't practice what they preach. Where South Africa preaches and practice in the same thing. I have more respect for a man who lets know his stand even if he is wrong. 10-1. One who comes like angel and is nothing but a devil. The systems of the government in America consist of committees, and there are 16 centenary committees that oriented a country and 20 constitutional committees. 10 of the 16 Senate or committees in their hands of the sultry and radicalism. Senators are radicals, hastilists. 13 of the 30, this is before the last election, I think has more, so now. 10 of the 16 committees, senatorials, committees, and hands of the senators, whose role sourced were hastilists. 83 of the 30 committees in the lands of sultry Congress, who are racialists. Which means other 36 committees of government forgets the domestic direction of the government. 23 in the hands of throats and men who don't. We believe in the equality of man. And men who hold anything but power to see black men as never to do to the same seat at the same level their own. Esse é um fato verdadeiro. Pessoal, é fato verdadeiro, Leonardo. Os Estados Unidos teve um caso que era o seguinte. Quando começou a aparecer mais casos de violência e começou a brotar em todo tipo de jornal ao redor do mundo, o mundo começou a cobrar os Estados Unidos. E o Congresso começou a se renovar. Só o problema foi... era um grande panteão. Eles falavam que tinha mais de 56 congressistas. 2 eram negros, o resto eram tudo brancos. Então esses 2 primeiros congressistas negros eram pessoas do povo, não tinham nem formação política. E já que a maioria era branco, o voto era majoritariamente branco. Pra tudo. Então Malcolm X foi uma das pessoas que começou a avisar o mundo sobre isso. Os Estados Unidos foi cobrado para que nunca mais tenham atitudes desse tipo. E ele chamou, por exemplo, que a população pobre dos Estados Unidos durante um tempo era chamada de segunda classe, população da segunda classe. Não é rico, não é para eles se sentirem melhores. Que feio isso, viu? Puta merda. The reason of this man from the area having this type of power because America has a senatorial system. And this having senator nearly as alone anyone because the black man's the areas where they can live, they can vote, and that's because the black man is the priest and the vote this man in these positions of power. Has given influence the government beyond ethnic, intellectual, politician, really beyond the number of people has represents what. So we can see what the country, no matter what the federal government profits, the power the federal government points. Eu queria muito que todos os Panteras Negras estivessem vivos quando Barack Obama virou presidente. Alguns estavam, mas a maioria não estava mais. In any time, any kind of legislation promotes and benefits the black man or gives the black man just a due. We found a look at these communities right here. And when they left, and something stroll on the county. Unless so shoved and fixed in the time because laws can be enforced. An example, in Supreme Court decision that handed down in 1964, and this law is not having been implemented. Within the law, New York City, or in Boston, or Cleveland, or Chicago, and then on the northern cities. So my contention is what that anytime you have a country supporting suppose the free home of the brave, I can force laws, even the utmost and cosmopolitan see part of the benefits of the black man. When these laws don't can enforce, said that law can be enforced. How much hard do you think you'll get when you pass the civil rights legislation and all involves more law? If they don't enforce this law, they will never enforce those laws. Os Estados Unidos começou a virar uma zona de conflito ferrado, gente. Oi, pessoal, pra quem tá chegando, tá bom? Dá um oizinho aí, gente. É só dar um oizinho, tá? não. Salve, Drake, bem-vindo à minha live de leitura. Tô lendo os últimos discursos do Malcolm X antes do assassinato dele. Que ele foi para o continente africano, ele foi para a Grã-Bretanha e ele foi fazer o último discurso nos Estados Unidos antes de acabar o ano. Em fevereiro ele foi assassinado. É uma live que eu tô lendo em inglês os textos e interpretando em português para vocês conhecerem. So, in my contention that we face the racialist society, a society which is never disgraceful, deceptive, and out whose brings about the change talks his kind of language. Speak the language what is understand the reckless and never understand the peaceful language. The ridiculous is never understood. No violence language, the greatest we have. Has spoken his language his or 100 years. We don't have the victim of the brutality. We have him on the face, his dogs, the tear and the fresh on limbs. All because we want to enforce the Supreme Court decision. We had known this cause a crash, but não vou falar esse nome. But the policeman, because we enforce the Supreme Court decision. We are the ones upon from water hose, who turns with the pressure that's so hard to rip their clothes in your backs. Not men, but clothes from backs from a woman and child, and themselves. Because we want to enforce the law. Beleza, Lu? Não, eu sempre leio por parágrafo, fica tranquilo. Ou não. Viu, Raoni? Fica tranquilo. O livro de hoje são os últimos discursos de Malcolm X, ativista dos direitos humanos dos Estados Unidos. No ano que ele foi assassinado, a ditadura militar no Brasil estava já começando. Ou seja, as pessoas de 1960 não conhecem. Mas, hoje em dia, qualquer um com internet conhece. Estou usando o site do archive.org para leitura. Qualquer dúvida sobre o texto vocês podem perguntar a qualquer instante. Estou aberto, como eu escrevi na descrição do Discord. Qualquer duvidazinha é só vocês perguntarem e eu respondo. Well, anytime you live in a society supposed the reason of the law and don't enforce their own law because the color demands can happen to be wrong. And when I say these people justify to resort any means necessary to bring justice where government can give them justice. I don't believe any form of injustice in extremist, but I believe what a man exerting as extremist is an human being exerting extremist in defense of the liberty for human beings and not vice. And when he is moderating the pursuit of justice for human beings, if he's a sinner. Se quiser, pode chamar os amigos se quiser, tá, Raoni? Tá? Se gostariam de conversar, conhecer mais sobre o assunto. O assunto realmente é pesado, são os últimos discursos do Malcolm X. Ele falou exatamente muita coisa que... Essas coisas aconteciam no Brasil também. Eu tenho vontade de viajar no tempo para ter escrevido um livro sobre esses assuntos que aconteciam. As discriminações, na verdade, até hoje acontecem isso. É uma merda isso. A gente chama teoria da podridão, como chama. Mas vamos lá. I might add my conclusion. In fact, America has the best examples when you read in history about extremists. Old threatening hand that liberty or that. The extreme. Very extreme. Everyone knows basically a man named Shakespeare. And I read about him pastly and I remember one thing he wrote that's what kind of moved me. He puts in the mouth of the Hamlet. I think he that's so sad. Be or not to be is about some. There's no doubt about something. However, has a no. However, in the mind of man, suffer the slings and arrows of treacherous fortune. Moderation all takes his arms against the tremble and of sin and death. As in going for that, take your arm. Take your arms. You will end it. But if you sit around, wait for no one in power to make you his mind, and you will wait for a long time. In my opinion, young generation and whites, black, browns, whatever it is living, is time of ignorance. A time of the revolution, a time when it's come to change. People in power is measuring now. Power now have changed a better world. As a build only way in going build and stream method. And I am for one who join with anyone. I don't care what as long you want to change in this miserable condition, what is still in the Essa é uma frase que eu conheço muita gente que tem. Não importa a cor na sua cor. Ao menos que você esteja para melhorar, mudar as condições miseráveis da Terra. Ele foi para a escola de Londres de Economia. Isso aqui. Acho que é só isso. Beleza. Só banindo uns botezinhos. Aqui não enche meu saco. Deixa eu ver, são 4:07, gente. Vou até achar as 4:30, tá, pessoal? Tá bom? O mais importante é que a leitura é sempre bom. Treinar inglês é ótimo, tá? Treinar leitura, conversação, essas coisas é sempre bom. Não diga porque, mas é porque de emprego. Não, estuda por diversão. Mesmo se você for trabalhar na Espanha, sei lá, estuda inglês por diversão, gente. Agora é fácil, pô. That element has one has control, the strong influence and empowering structure. And use the press, use skillful, to feed the statistics of the public making. It appears and rate the crime and black community and community of no white people. Here's what's it. Gives impression of his image that everyone whose unity is criminal. As some public accept, accept the fact that dark-skinned communities consistently illegally or criminals or people who are dirty has been made possible when obstructing the police state systems, which will make permanently in minds even when means the public has comes use all kinds of political methods brutally, supposedly strongly the part of people against segregation, discrimination, and other facts and religion against them absolutely all just. Esses textos são poderosos. Se um dia vocês lerem mais coisas sobre esses ativistas, é a melhor coisa que tem. Eles escreveram um livro, ajudaram a definir, pessoas escreveram, né, o que eles falavam. Eu tenho muita vontade de voltar no tempo para encontrar algumas pessoas e escrever livros sobre o que não quero no Brasil. Eu ressuscitaria tanta gente para escrever esse livro junto. Ia ser gente pra caramba. Ia ser uma coisa bonita esse livro. Use the president of the police state and they use the president to make the white public accept whatever they to do in the X-Men public. They do they do one that here in London. Right now, with consistency in a reference of the West Indian population and Asian population having a high rate of crime and having a tendency towardness and then all kinds of negative inequalities, they protect the white people drawback. And to make white people be apathic when public state-like methods used in the areas, suppress the people honest and the strong struggle against discrimination and forms of segregation. A good example is to do it in New York last summer when blacks were rioting the rights and I think they aren't rights riots in the first place. The reactions against the police and when the Afro-Americans reacted against the brutal measures and were executed against them the police and press. And then African Americans reacted against brutally repressions were then executed against the police and pressed over word projected as rioters when the war storm are broke in the black community. Imitating has made appears that has been done not by people who reacting over the civil rights violations, but they give impressions as were hoodlums, dragons, criminals who wanted nothing than jet stores and take merchandise. But this is wrong. In America, black communities which is not owned by US. The landlord is white, the merchant is white in fact. The entire community of black community in the United States is controlled by anyone who don't even live there. That's probably we live in our own and by someone else who stores what the trade with, operate with, and someone else. And this is the people who suck the economic blood for you of our community. In my position of suck economic blood of our community, they control the radio programs and caterers control newspaper advertising that caterers It controls mine, and that's controlling civic organization, and that's controlling economic, politics, socially, mentally, and then over mankind inside the bloodlight of vultures. And see black reacts and people don't do this is there. Direct against their probably the property. The property is the only thing that's there. And they destroy it and you press it over. Pushing over here. Is that because they are destroying probably where leaving that not destroy their own property. They can get to the man or the zones. This don't say this don't say but however I heard of social explosion as touching and poorly and try make like men do is what interrogating right him ghetto and make him the victim every kind of just imaginable when he explode he wanted it to explode politics. You want him to explode according to someone on rules. I mean with wrong man and dealing wrong time the wrong way. Another example is the imagery of mastery. Wrongly. Ok. Deu pra gente ler bastante coisa até aqui. Eu agora vou escutar aqui no meus fones, com meus fones junto com vocês alguns dos discursos do Malcolm X, tá? Ah, eu tenho que devolver o livro. É como se fosse uma biblioteca real. Eu terminei de ler o livro e já devolvo. estamos agora escutando o livro que eu falei para vocês agora há pouco. Esse vídeo vai estar subido lá no YouTube. Eu já baixei a capa. Beleza. Ele nunca foi político. Eu nunca quis ser político. Bem, pra quem veio e escutou, gente, o Lendo dos Capítulos, entendeu que a gravidade é bem legal, né? Vou mandar vocês pra um amigo meu, ele é jogador de Apex, muito bom até. A gente vai sair um pouco disso aqui, a gente vai pra um lugar pra gente dar o nosso apoio cada vez mais às pessoas que estão aqui na Twitch. Espero que gostem. Ele joga bastante. Ele é um amor de pessoa e um amigo fantástico. Não precisam falar gank do unicórnio, não. Só vão lá e digam: viemos ver Apex. Aproveitem, pessoal. A live dele eu super recomendo pra vocês. Nos vemos sexta-feira em analisando vinhetas. Vamos continuar vendo vinhetas da Cartoon Network até finalizar aquele vídeo. Depois eu vou intermediar com outros vídeos e assim por diante. Um abraço e até sexta-feira.